Hey everyone, welcome to JSA TV and JSA Podcasts. Well, I should say welcome back. Hopefully you were with us a couple weeks ago when our colleagues Buffy Harakitis and Allison Whelan were at Datacloud USA in Austin, Texas. Since then, we've jumped the pond and Emily Scherer and I, Candace Ipos, are now here in Oslo, Norway, which I'm very excited to be here. I've never been here before.
I've never been and I'm loving it. We haven't seen much of the city yet. We got out last night. There was a pizza place we went to just around the corner, super good, and everybody is coming into town. We've had some great conversations so far with everybody and a lot more to come today on JSA TV.
And I have a very exciting announcement to report, which is that I just got my passport renewed and I have a brand new stamp on it, which actually was for Zurich, Switzerland, which was a layover of mine. So I think we both had 3 different legs to our journey here.
We've been everywhere. I've been in Reykjavik, Iceland. Candace, you've been in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. You've been to Zurich. So we're racking up the stops here on the global JSA tour.
That's right. So we're very excited to be at the Datacloud ESG Summit, talking all things sustainability with leaders all over the digital infrastructure space this week. So we've got 17 plus interviews lined up over the next couple of days. Huge names in our industry. We've got Cyrus One at North, EdgeConneX, Equinix, EchoSense, a lot of the E's this week. There's so many more that I could mention, but we, stick with us at this space because we're going to be interviewing, having all kinds of conversations from all corners of sustainability. And, it's such a hot topic right now. So we've got a lot to chat about over the next couple of days. Do you want to talk a bit about the conference itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be covering so many key topics here, from meeting customers' demand for green technologies and power to global power and energy dynamics. We have hundreds of attendees. They're actually kind of filtering in right now. So if it gets kind of loud, guys, we're in the main conference hall here at the conference, and there's more than 50 speakers joining us this weekend. There's going to be 12 sponsors here, 3 talent and tech events. So it is all going on. So much to look forward to.
Yeah. So if you are here, please come say hi to us. We're in the banquet level. Everybody who's here knows it's a little tricky. It's a very beautiful it's called the Grand Hotel, and it is very grand here in Oslo. So we are on the second floor, the banquet level, kind of the back left of this huge exhibit hall space. So come say hi to us. Hopefully you've already got an interview set up. We've got more and more folks kind of streaming in, wanting to do interviews. So we're really excited for the interest and kind of the love that we're seeing at this event this week already. If you're not here, please do stay tuned to this space. We will be live streaming across a bunch of different platforms, including LinkedIn and Broad Group is live streaming as well. So please hang out with us over the next couple of days. And as always, happy networking.
Happy networking. JSA TV and JSA Podcast, where we're covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations with leaders in global connectivity, real estate, and the networks within. My name is Emily Scherer for JSA, and I am joined today by two gentlemen from Borealis Data Centers. They are an Icelandic data center leader. Today we have Christopher Andres. He is the Christopher Andre. He is the business development manager for Borealis, and we're also joined by Istvan Sigurvinsson. He is the compliance manager for Borealis. So welcome. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
And we were just talking a little bit earlier. So I have to say, I had a layover in Reykjavik. So I was saying I was only there for 2 hours, but I have to go back, right? Is there something I should see when I go back to Iceland?
Absolutely. I mean, we welcome all parties to Iceland. There are many natural resources, that you have to see. I mean, Iceland is a very scenic country, and does not only give people opportunity to explore nature, but also to explore, why Iceland is sustainable.
Absolutely.
So there are opportunities to see that, through the geysers, the hydro plants and all the waterfalls, where we collect energy from.
Absolutely. It looked beautiful from the plane when I was going over. Sorry, were you going to say something?
Yes, and also the hot pools that are heated with geothermal water all year around. So you can actually go to a sustainable hot water under, snowy, under the snow or even in a very, very, very warm day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that too, because I think that has a data center component as well. But before we get to that, so Istvan, you're speaking on a panel tomorrow. It is titled "Sustainability in the Cloud: The Benefits of Reducing Carbon Emissions in the Cloud and How to Start Doing It." Can you tell us what's one thing that you hope people take away from that panel tomorrow?
Yes, absolutely. So what I hope to have as takeaway is that we need to understand that cloud service providers are a sustainable solution, for hosting data. However, data centers play an important role. So what I would like to highlight on, is that the chain responsibility, within sustainability. So it's not enough, to have one component as sustainable component, but the chain reaction, with all the suppliers. And I take pride, in having policies not only for our organization, but also extend it to our suppliers. So having a cloud service provider, that can add on this green element, by partnershiping, with the green data center, I think that gives the extra bonus.
Absolutely. It's all these small things that add up. I feel like that has to do with scope 3 emissions as well when you're talking about different suppliers,
Absolutely.
right?
Like there is this huge debate, like whose scope, or whose emission is that,
Right.
like which is my part of the ESG procedure and which is yours as a supplier.
Right.
So,
right.
There needs to be a clear cut conversation, how it's divided and how it is shared.
Yeah.
I know because no one can do it alone. We are in this business together. So we just have to hold hands, and commit to that.
Absolutely. And that's what everyone is here to do at Datacloud ESG. So very exciting to be here. And Christopher, you're also on a panel that's going to take place tomorrow. Can you tell us just what that panel is about or one thing you want people to take away from that?
Yes, so Iceland is actually a very, very good location for data centers,
Yes.
green and sustainable. Like it's been discussed, we have this 100% renewable energy. It's actually the world's lowest emission per kilowatt hour. So having that is a big competitive advantage. But the other thing is that it's actually a very, very affordable energy. You're paying around $65 per gigawatt with all the additional costs. So the the location provides another competitiveness. It's the cold climate up in the north.
Right.
So we can actually use the environment to work as a cooling element,
Yes.
dragging down the PUE, all the way down to 1.03, which is, it's almost never seen in the market as today. So Iceland provides a lot of benefits and advantages to data centers and to lower the costs, being one of the most competitive land in Europe, as well as in the world on data centers. So I'll be discussing that with fellow panelists, our friends up north, and Farais, as we have a new sea cable that adds another advantage to Iceland, shortening the time to Europe and to the US. Like we're a bridge in Ireland, just a little neighborhood, as we're have such a fast connection there, providing another opportunity to expand businesses over to the US.
Absolutely. Excellent. And we're speaking to At North tomorrow as well. So we're going to hear even more about this panel. So that sounds excellent. I hope everyone can go and see that. And now, Christopher, I also wanted to ask you, you all just made an exciting new partnership with IBM. Is there anything that you want to tell us about that?
Oh, yes. So a few months back, we met with IBM on a conference like this, and we found out that we have a lot of common interests. We're all trying to make the future of data economical and better for the future generations. On that, the discussions went on, and we decided to go for a partnership. So now you can actually host your IBM satellite in Iceland in our data centers in a very, very sustainable way. And I believe Eastman is also going to share a little bit more on that one in a bit. But providing a secure location that fills all the compliance requirements, as well as getting the most secure location in the world. Iceland been ranked number one for many years in a row by the global index. Makes a perfect location for storing data, recovery data, and etc.
Right. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that with us. And then, yeah, Istvan, if you want to go ahead and just tell us a little bit more about those sustainability efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would just like to highlight on the fact, that Borealis, takes pride in being, a leading data center, a sustainable data center, and we have a slogan, which seems, slightly overused, that ESG is in our DNA, but it's absolutely true. That's just because Iceland is a sustainable country on its own. And now we have one of our largest energy providers becoming carbon neutral in just about a year or two. They are almost carbon neutral, so it's at zero point 0.3 currently, without minimal or zero offsetting. So we take pride in that. So you can imagine, that if a data center is connected to such a grid, which is already carbon neutral, and achieving ESG standards, it's kind of a given for us. But what we would like to focus on, and this is why IBM partnership is really important, is that transparency is key. Compliance and sustainability, go hand in hand, but also it's a business need. It's a business requirement because this is where the world is heading to, especially after hard times like COVID. We understood, like what it means, for the globe, to focus on such issues. And with that said, like Borealis takes pride, in showcasing all these metrics. And with the partnership with IBM, I think this is just going to be highlighting even more, why Icelandic data centers, can be an absolute leader, within this industry.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I don't think that that's overdone. I've never heard that before. So ESG is in our DNA. Is
Yes.
that right? Okay. Borealis Data Centers. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you
Exciting
for
to
the
meet you.
invite.
Absolutely. And everybody stay curious, stay connected, and happy networking. Welcome to JSA TV and JSA Podcast, where we're covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations with leaders in global connectivity, real estate, and the networks within. My name is Emily Scherer for JSA. I am joined today by Lauren Long of 3TAG. They are an industry leader who is focused on Scope 3 emissions and circularity. Lauren, it's great to have you. Thanks for joining
Thank you.
us.
It's great to be here.
Excellent. Now, Lauren, you're going to be on a keynote panel tomorrow about how to avoid greenwashing. So tell us a little bit more about that panel, or maybe a key takeaway you want people to have from that.
I think the key thing about greenwashing is that while there are people, or companies, I should say, that intentionally misrepresent, and they get found,
Right.
And there are consequences. But really, there's a lot of companies out there that I work with that are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to accurately measure and report. We've got the CSRD here in Europe and the reporting that's coming with that. But the key message that I want my panel to talk about is we need to do more. We can't rush to find, I found this, I reduced scope 2 completely. I'm doing PPA. It's not easy like that. Scope 3 is very hard. Biodiversity, water use, and we need to do more. I think also as the home of some of the most technologically advanced companies in the world, we underpin technology, and that's what the book is about. And then we find out we're not nearly as advanced as some other industries when it comes to this topic.
Right. There's so much still left to be done. I think everybody is trying to figure out what those measures are, what they look like. But I think the important thing is we're here, we're having the conversations, right?
Right.
You're doing what you can. And you're a thought leader in this space for sure. You're going to be contributing to Greener Data Volume 2. So we're super excited about that.
I am too.
It's going to be great. So this is a book that JSA, we put it out originally last year. We're going to be doing a Volume 2 in 2024. And so Lauren is an author, and we would love to hear a little bit more about your chapter and what you're going to be writing about.
So the theme of my chapter is basically it's complicated. It's I'm gonna touch on several parts of the sustainability discussion, starting with scope 3. It's complicated, and I think we also need to all recognize and be honest that the methods that we have right now for measuring aren't that accurate. It's the best we have right now, but we need to continue pushing more. Another one is, I kind of touched on it, PPAs, right? Power purchase agreements. Buying renewable energy and using renewable energy is two different things. And we need to keep driving forward to truly reduce emissions. There was a report recently by the Princeton Zero Group, and they found that emissions aren't actually being reduced due to our current renewable energy initiative. So we need to look at that. I think the last one, and this is certainly where my focus is on circularity. We are very much a take, make, waste society. Recycling needs to come much further. Did you know, for example, that 50 million tons of e-waste annually are thrown away?
I didn't know that. No. That's a shocking number.
It gets worse than that.
Yeah.
Only 1% of critical raw materials are actually recycled every year. And scientists calculate that there is currently more gold in landfill than remaining in the earth.
Yeah, wow.
Now, when you look at the AI boom and the continuation of technology, all those critical raw materials are needed. And we need to make sure they come back.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. It sounds like it's going to be a great chapter. Maybe not all of the answers right now, but again, just continuing the conversation, figuring it out, finding the measures. Yeah, that's excellent. We're looking forward to reading it, and we hope everybody else reads it when it comes out on Earth Day 2024. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit more about 3TAG. So you guys were recently founded. Tell us a little bit more about the founding. What is 3TAG's mission? We'd love to hear about it.
So 3TAG at its core is a persistent, dynamic digital product passport. a digitized LCA, but with a lot more information around circularity, critical raw materials. And the idea is to start tracking raw materials, embodied carbon, starting from extraction to the component manufacture to the asset assembly, and then throughout its whole life cycle, all the way to the end to recycling, to make sure that we are getting everything back. And it's also to underpin and hopefully support more accurate Scope 3 reporting and calculations. It allows for that embodied carbon to move throughout the life cycle so that now there's a governance to it. And it's also could be the foundation for better regulation and control around that so that we can start reducing, especially the take and the make parts of take, make, waste.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds like you're going to be a big thought leader in the space of figuring out what the measurements actually do look like when it comes to circularity. So very interesting work that you're doing there with GreenTag. Yeah, absolutely.
We hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else that you want to let our viewers know before we
No, it was a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing the book and all the authors.
Absolutely. We are too. Yeah, we can't wait. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you have a great rest of the event today. Thanks.
Welcome to JSA TV and JSA Podcast, where we're covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations from leaders in global connectivity, real estate, and the networks within. I'm Candace Ipos with JSA, and I'm here with Duke Ascon, Sales Director with atNorth, one of the great Nordic data center leaders. So we're really excited to chat with him today. Duke, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure. So first of all, give a case study presentation in a couple hours here at the event. So we were hoping you could give us a bit of a preview. It's about kind of the intersection between sustainability and profitability. So if you could just chat through that a little bit with us.
Well, yeah, we're going to hold a little case study here. What we're really looking at is long-term profitability and cost efficiency together. Short-term, your cost could be a little bit higher, but your long-term costs will be much lower. That's the goal of it. And when we're talking about the costs, we're also talking about holistic costs. Not only the cost of running an efficient data center, but the cost of customer acquisition. Because we're seeing that the consumer demand is for long-term solutions.
Yeah.
And you can't cut our future generations' costs.
Yeah.
It's an investment, what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So one line that really kind of stands out from that case study with BMP is that it proves that green means cost efficient, which is what you're chatting about. So, and atNorth is really able to achieve both, which is impressive. So, could you tell us any more about that?
Well, what we're seeing is that if we can work on the circular economics and ensure that we have a respectful use of our natural resources, human resources, and think about the future, not only our short-term gains, we've got a much better proposition to the market.
Excellent.
And appreciate it. And when we can quantify it, the customers can buy it.
Yeah. Okay, love that. And in other recent news out of atNorth, the company recently acquired Gompu, which is very exciting. This had just happened at the end of August. So we were hoping that you could just give us a little bit of an update on that. I know several new hires came as part of that, and tell us what our audience can expect from atNorth over the next year or so.
Well, atNorth, we're in a tremendous growth phase. Acquiring Compute gives us more human resources in the HPC as a service part. They add value to our stack higher up above the bare bones infrastructure. So we're really glad to have them on board, and we see some great value coming there. With the new hires, well, we've added some more talent to our human resource pool. As any company, it's about the people. So you have the right people that want to drive things, they can make things happen. That's where the magic is. And the company, well, I think keep an eye on us. We're going to be a power player in the Nordics. It's going to take us 2-3 years, but we've put all the puzzle pieces in place. So stay tuned for using our services.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, more human resources is always a good thing, right? Excellent. So great chatting with you. We'll see you around the conference, and good luck on your case study presentation here in a few hours. And to our audience, as always, happy networking.
Thank you, Candace.
I wrote down answers, not the original question, but it was basically an intro.
Welcome to JSA TV and JSA Podcast, where we're covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations from global connectivity leaders, leaders in real estate, and all of the networks within. I'm Candace Ipos with JSA, and I'm here today with Kyle Myers. He is the very first EHSS leader at Cyrus One. So I'm going to read this so I don't get it wrong. Environment, health, safety, and sustainability.
Yes.
Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you.
All right. So as the first EHSS leader at Cyrus One, could you just tell us a little bit about what that entails? What are your kind of responsibilities and what do you do for Cyrus One?
Yeah, thanks. So I started at Cyrus One 6 years ago, and the most remarkable thing has been sort of how this space has changed over time. So early on, it was focused on what I'll call some of the basics, like air pollution, spill prevention, control countermeasures for diesel tanks, and then over the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years, ESG has really accelerated. So what that means for us is just sort of our position in the market, how much we talk about it, what kind of targets we put out there, adding transparency. So my role is really to sort of sort out what the art of the possible is, right? So it starts with like strategy. It's taking best practices from either peers, customers, what we're seeing in the industry, and then figuring out how to actually execute that for the business.
Okay, perfect. So we'll just jump right in to AI, which is a topic that is very hot at the ESG Summit this week. So, of course, data center operators are tasked with keeping up with workload demands. And how is Cyrus One able to do this while still achieving your ESG goals?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. So AI is sort of the topic of the day. So we kind of think about this. Let me take it a step back. So we think about this in terms of the data center life cycle. So everything from siting, which it starts with, and I'll give you an example in a second for how AI impacts that, all the way through design, construction, and operations, and then making sure we stay linked up with our customer signals. So from a siting perspective, one of the nice things that AI brings is at least part of AI allows us to set up outside availability zones or the places where we typically are sort of asked to set up for our customers. So the nice thing about that is it gives us flexibility to go to markets or places where, let's say, that there's cleaner energy or there's cooler weather, which allows us to basically run more efficiently. So suddenly places like we're sitting today, the Nordics become a real possibility versus in the past, we'd be kind of forced to go to certain specific markets. The second piece of this is that I'll talk about is design. So we just launched a new product by happenstance 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, it's called IntelliScale. So it's designed really to be able to deal with AI's density. So a typical, what I mean by density, 30 kilowatt per rack deployment. So 30 with AI might get up to 300. So 10 times as dense. So that just means you're drawing a lot more power and a much smaller footprint. The nice thing about the footprint is it's about 75% smaller. So what that means from a sustainability perspective, and I have to read my numbers, I don't have them memorized. So our typical 18 megawatt build is going to have about 12,000 metric tons of concrete involved in that. That's about 8,500 CO2 equivalents, and which would power about 3,200 homes in the EU for a year.
Wow.
You can take away 75% of that, just the concrete use alone. So that's basically saving 2,400 homes worth of energy. So those are the good sides of AI and its impact on sustainability. The trade-off is it gets very concentrated in a very small area, so you have to deal with that.
Yeah. Awesome. Fascinating. Thank you for bringing those numbers. That's really great. And on that note, so we'll just continue the sustainability conversation, which is, of course, what we're doing all week here at the ESG Summit. Cyrus One launched a sustainability report in May. So if you wanted to just maybe give us a top takeaway or two from that.
Yeah, so we really focus on kind of four things: climate, water, biodiversity, and circularity. So just a couple things that we signed up for in 2022. So we moved our zero carbon target and our climate neutral term we're using for 2040 to 2030. So that's significantly by 10 years. We signed up for science-based target initiatives and a whole bunch of other stuff under the other topics that are slowly kind of moving the ball forward for us.
All right. Perfect. Well, that's a great note to end on. Thanks so much for joining us, Kyle.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And to all of our viewers back at home, as always, happy networking. Welcome back to JSA TV and JSA Podcast, where we're covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations from leaders in the global connectivity, real estate markets, and also the networks within. I am here right now with Mark Acton. He is non-executive director with EchoSense. Very excited to chat with you, Mark. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you. And because we're on a panel together in a couple of hours, I happen to know that you're going to be talking about building green data centers in North America.
I am indeed.
Yeah. So if you could just tell us a little bit about the most impactful green strategies that data center operators should be thinking about.
Yeah, I think it's difficult, and I think probably the first thing we've got to do is define what green means. There are so many elements to sustainability and doing the right thing. Firstly is the building itself. There's the scope 3 emissions, the embodied carbon that we incorporate into the building. There's then the embodied carbon that's actually inside the equipment, the MEP equipment that supports the IT load. And then, of course, we've got the IT load itself. And I think in the data center community, we often forget about the IT load. We forget the reason that we have a data center, which is to support IT services. So I think we need to, consider what we actually mean by green, our impact on the environment, our scope 2 emissions, that's the use phase emissions, the scope 3 emissions, the building emissions, and actually what your data center is doing. So there's a lot to throw in there. I would also include, probably one of the most important things is benchmarking and having a level playing field, and that really does incorporate the use of standards, true international ISO standards for things like PUE and REF and ERF, etc. Use of standards, I think, is really going to change the industry. So we'll have a much more level playing field.
Yeah, and that leads us nicely into the next thing that we wanted to talk about, which is actually you're on 3 panels.
I am indeed. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what I did to deserve that, but I am.
You're a very busy guy, so thank you for your time with us today. But so one of your other panels is about unifying sustainability standards. So is there anything else that you want to get into there, just to give folks a preview of what they could expect at that panel?
Yeah, I think the key about standards is that I think a lot of people, even within the sector, don't realize that we've got a lot of sustainability metrics, global standardized sustainability metrics. We don't use them sufficiently. And again, going back to my earlier point, it's essential that we have a level playing field, a set of benchmarks that are consistent globally that we can actually measure ourselves against. We've all heard of PUE, the famous PUE. You can't go to a data center conference without talking about it. But the reality is most people don't realize that PUE is defined by a standard called ISO 30134-2. You love that, right? Again, it's important that people recognize that, because if they're reporting PUE, they should be doing it according to the standard. So I'll really expand on that theme in the panel tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. And then we will wrap up with one more question, which is a very hot topic this week and always. You can't go to any digital infrastructure conference without talking about AI. So we're hearing quite a bit about it. And I'm wondering if you can just give us a little intro into how EchoSense is leveraging AI to support data center operators.
Absolutely. Well, I think one of the challenges, again, we've got as an industry is understanding the data that we're being given and using that data in a meaningful way. And I think we've got to the stage where you'll hear a lot of people saying we don't have sufficient data, et cetera, et cetera. That's absolutely not true. We've got loads of data coming to us from the data center. What we struggle to do is make sense of it. The two things we really struggle with is one, turning that data into information. There's a difference between data and information. There's a relationship between the two. What we want really is information. So we don't just want systems in data centers that merely monitor. We want systems and data centers that allow us to manage, so they give us useful management information. So where AI and machine learning help is turning that plethora of data, that data lake, into useful management information, turning it into something that we as humans can do something with. So rather than telling us there's a problem, we want the tools to tell us what the solution to the problem is. And again, that's where AI comes in. It's taking very, very good experience from the human side, good algorithms, using data, manipulating the data with analytics, using AI on it, using machine learning on it, and telling us how to manage data centers properly. And that's what EchoSense effectively does. It's taking that plethora of data and turn it into something we can use and actually help us to again go down that route of energy efficiency and sustainability.
Yeah, taking that data, turning it into information
absolutely.
that you know gives us solutions.
And I think the key there is it's now beyond us as humans to manage that data. You know, we can't absorb that amount of data. We need something that is, let's call it intelligent, let's call it AI. You know, there's all sorts of arguments about what that term really means. But if you just think of it as deep analytics, machine learning, AI in the broadest sense, allowing us again to manage properly rather than just react. That's what we need.
Excellent. Love that. All right, audience. That is a little nugget of what you can expect from the 3 panels that Mark will be on over the next 2 days. So thank you so much for joining us, Mark.
Not at all.
All right. And thank you, viewers, for hanging out with us here at JSA TV. And as always, happy networking.
Thank you, JSA. Thank you, Candice.
Thank you. Hello, welcome back to JSA TV and JSA Podcast, where we are covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations from leaders in global connectivity, real estate, and the networks within. I am joined here today by Sami Halopainen from Equinix. He is the managing director for Finland and the acting managing director for Sweden as well for Equinix. Nice to see you, Sami.
Nice to see you too. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, excellent. We're so happy to have you. And so you actually just joined us from one of the keynote panels. You were talking about sustainable operating models. So could you give us the top takeaway or two from that panel?
Yeah, I would say the kind of most biggest topic there is around the sustainability is how you develop that in the future. It's very important topic for most of the people and most of the companies and probably everyone on the audience too. And it's very visible topic in here in the Nordic data center market at the moment. So I would say if I would need to pick some key topics, it's probably what's next step? How do you develop sustainability even further from the now? The kind of heat recovery part, that's kind of baseline nowadays already, but where you go next, what you can develop on the next level, how you keep up going, putting kind of making planet better.
Yeah, excellent. I love that. Always looking forward. And as in your role as Equinix's managing director for both Finland and Sweden, could you tell us a little bit about maybe the company's biggest win in those countries when it comes to sustainability?
Yeah, so okay, if I'm looking kind of back, let's say a couple of years back,
Mhm.
one big topic is power purchase agreements, which in essence is how we source power. So kind of most of the operators, they are 100% renewable, which is very typical here. But what we are doing at the moment is actually we are investing to bring more capacity to grid. So we're basically purchasing power agreements with companies who will build, well, in practice, wind turbines in Finland, for example, and in Sweden. So instead of kind of grabbing existing renewable power, we want to bring more power on the grid. Heat recovery is very big topic at the moment. We have been very successful since 2010 in Finland, and the coming years we have been building it for all the sites we are having. And probably within a recent future, we are also kind of bringing other than environmental topics around it, kind of social sustainability, you know, kind of green top, how you harvest pollinators, you know, kind of not just environmental sustainability, but bringing more to the community back. And biodiversity is a big topic.
Yeah. Absolutely. Excellent. Well, well done. Yeah. Thank you for that update. And then of course, Stockholm is such a huge mobile market in particular in the Nordics and in Europe. So could you talk about how Equinix is able to keep up with that growing demand without kind of sacrificing sustainability?
It's kind of high utilization is better on sustainability perspective. If you have a high utilization, a lot of queries coming in, you can utilize more better performance on efficiency level, which basically is that more you get business, more you have resources, you can get a mass benefit when optimizing the data center. So it's coming with the mass.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sami. It was great chatting with you here.
Thank you.
And to all of our viewers back home, thanks for hanging out with us on JSA TV. Happy networking. Hi, welcome back to JSA TV and JSA Podcast, where we're covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations with leaders from global connectivity, real estate, and the networks within. I've got one of those leaders with me here today. So we've got Mats Anderson from Leftalmine Data Center, which is a data center in Norway, very, very fast growing. So keep an eye on them. And he is a CMO from Leftalmine. Hi, Mats.
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So we'll just start with an easy one. How's the event going for you so far? I know it's officially day one. Some folks were here yesterday. So what do you think about this event and this ESG focus here in the Nordics?
I think it so far is a really great event. The panels this morning has been really good, especially since I had one. Just kidding a little bit there, but no, it's fantastic content. I think we're the right people here. I think that we're in a good country for this now, Norway, next year Iceland, but we're very ESG focused. So really looking forward to also later today and tomorrow. I think we're off on a good start, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned Norway. One question that's just an obvious one to ask: what makes Norway a great location for a data center?
Yeah, obviously we are in the place of Europe, north, where we have a cold climate. We do have renewable power, 100% on most locations. We have a government which is very proactive. So we're one of the first governments in the world which actually had a data center strategy. And now we have a version 2, and number 3 is coming, which is about attracting international customers to a sustainable, future-proof solution here in Norway with not only the renewable power, but also all the processes, operational routines, use waste heat, etc. So we're trying to build a green hub of the world.
Yeah, it seems like you're definitely succeeding with that. I knew about the 100% renewables, did not know about the government play and everything else you just mentioned. So that's really incredible. And so I think we'll just kind of wrap up here by talking about trends. What's one of the biggest market trends that you're seeing right now?
So from a data center operator perspective, we're seeing the AI trend coming by far. We have multiple of larger companies from different parts of the world setting up AI rigs to cater for the coming evolution and for the needs in that sector. So we are seeing that the volumes are getting a lot bigger than they used to be. The time to market has moved from 12 to 18 months down to 3 to 4.
Wow.
And it's just at zero behind everything. And it's kind of exciting nowadays, but it also puts a lot of pressure on the operators to provide fast and cost effective and sustainable as always.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congrats on all of the success, and we'll continue watching Leftalmine. I'm sure there'll be an amazing growth over the next few years. So thanks for joining us here on JSA TV. And to our viewers back home, thank you for hanging out with us here at JSA TV, and happy networking.
Thank you.
Welcome to JSA TV and JSA Podcasts, where we're covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations with leaders from the global connectivity real estate markets and also the networks within. So I'm joined today by one of those leaders, one of the biggest data center operators in Norway and really the world. So we're here with Green Mountain with Sylvain Haggeseth from Green Mountain, CEO. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much, and very nice to meet you too.
Thank you. Well, we're happy to have you here. We're really excited to chat with you just a bit today before you run off to your panel.
Yep.
Very busy guy at this conference. So first of all, of course, Green Mountain is well known in our industry, very much a leader in sustainable and dependable colo data centers. So could you just tell us quickly why folks choose to co-locate with you all? What is kind of your differentiator in the space?
Yeah, I think it's just what you mentioned, the ability to deliver truly carbon neutral or close to carbon neutral data centers is one of the drivers of a lot of the clients that we have at our data centers. So the sustainability aspect is important. It has been since we started 10 years ago, and it continues to be. And as it becomes more and more important for other clients and partners out there, that tend to gravitate to the companies who are able to deliver that both short term and long term. And Green Mountain is one of the companies who are able to do that. In addition to that, Norway is very fortunate because we have opportunity of scale. So especially now with a lot of AR workloads dominating the market, in Green Mountain, we have the opportunity to both serve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 megawatt of capacity, but also larger scale deployments and large campus deployments up to 250 megawatt. So that ability to be able to deliver carbon neutral data centers to both small and larger clients attracts a lot of attention in a market in Europe, which is fairly constrained, especially on power.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, thank you. And so there are tons of great discussions happening at the conference this week. Could you just share one trend? We're asking, all the thought leaders who are joining us on JSA TV to just talk about a trend or two that you're seeing maybe for 2024.
So of course, this is an ESG conference. So of course, a lot of the discussions are related to new regulation on ESG. So I see a lot of the dialogues goes on that. And as also the workloads are getting bigger and bigger, the ability to be able to serve that in a sustainable fashion seems to be getting a lot of attention at this conference as well. So now it's not just something that you're able to say, but you need to be able to actually show it. You need to be able to report on the ESG aspect. So we see a lot of clients who really would like to go carbon neutral or really would like to go sustainable and not just by themselves sustainable. So the ability to both be able to not just say it, but actually report it is also a lot of the discussion in regards to how can Norway or how can we in Europe be able to deliver according to the regulation that is coming in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. We're hearing a lot about that. The deliverability, how can we really take action together is such a core central theme of this conference. And also the reporting,
Absolutely.
And holding ourselves accountable. So one last question about the sustainability report that Green Mountain put out, I believe back in July. If you could just kind of tell us a quick takeaway, one of the core takeaways from that.
Yeah, this was our second sustainability report that we had in Green Mountain this year. We had a lot of discussion until we delivered our first one, and then we truly saw the value of actually being able to put out our own report and the ability to report on given metrics in the industry. We thought we were pretty good on sustainability until we did our first report, and we got a couple of punches in the face and needed to do a couple of things differently. But I think by having a sustainability report, you kind of visualize a lot of the things that you're doing well, but also the things that you're not doing well, right? So the ability to constantly continue to push the needle. So we, for instance, from last year to this year, we're able to reduce our carbon emissions by close to 10%, because we were able to visualize the things that we thought we were doing well until we actually started on reporting it. And as we reported on it, we saw that, we actually need to do this differently. So I think it's maturity aspect for us as an organization. So that was one of the things that we did. Also, we saw that last year when we did the reporting, we thought we were okay on recycling, but we were able to increase it by another 16-17% this year to 92%.
Wow.
Still some way to go, but still also kind of the visualization of what that actually mean. And then, of course, when you give out a report, especially if you're a company like Green Mountain, where the DNA of the company is setting the green standard, you need to make sure that when you provide that report, it is accurate. And that was also one of the things that we needed to kind of have a few rounds again, is how transparent can we be in regards to sustainability. And we put all cards on the table in regards to that report. So there's no hidden things, it's not a marketing activity. It's a true report of what we're doing well, but also what we're not doing well and what we need to improve on.
I love that. That level of transparency is so important. All right. Excellent. Well, thank you, Svein. It was great chatting with you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And to all of our viewers back home, thank you for joining us on JSA TV. Happy networking.
Welcome back to JSA TV and JSA Podcast, where we're covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations with leaders in global connectivity, real estate, and the networks within. My name is Emily Scherer for JSA, and I am joined here today by Benedicta Fasmer Waller. She is from Invest in Norway and Innovation Norway. It's great to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we are here in Norway. It's my first time in Norway. So excited to be here. And your organizations have all to do with supporting the growing different sectors in Norway. Can you tell us a little bit more about Invest in Norway and Innovation Norway?
Innovation Norway is a government agency that works with business development in Norway. So we work with clusters, we work with startups grants, and we also work with inward investment. So I work in the part of Innovation Norway that's called Invest in Norway, and we work to attract foreign direct investment. And we do that in order to build strong industries. So we're an integrated part of this great organization, Innovation Norway. And my role in this organization is working with data centers and other new green industries.
Absolutely. And data centers are a huge growing industry in Norway. So, what makes Norway such a great location for data centers?
I think the backbone of our whole data center value proposition is the green power. Norway's electricity is, I think, 98% renewable. It's mostly hydropower, which is the only renewable that you can regulate, and an increasing amount of wind, both onshore and offshore. So there'll be lots of offshore wind production coming up in the next 5, 10, 15 years. So the green energy, the green electricity is the backbone of our data center, but we've also been working a lot on connectivity, on submarine cables connecting Norway to Denmark and the UK and the United States to increase our resilience. And both of these things are, of course, very important for the data center industry. And the third thing we've been working on is reuse of the waste heat from the data centers. Norway doesn't have tons of district heating like some countries. We have quite a bit. So like in Oslo, you can reuse heat in district heating. But in other locations, we need to be a bit more creative. So we see Norwegian data centers reusing heat in, for example, fish farming, which is an important industry in Norway. And so I think these factors, the power going in, the power going out, and the connectivity are making us an attractive nation for data centers. And we've seen like a lot of homegrown colos and wholesale companies growing up the past few years in Norway. So we have quite a good, strong data center ecosystem, we like to think.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, it sounds like you've got all the things people need. You've got the connectivity, heat reuse possibility, also the renewable energy. So thank you for sharing those details with us. And the conference. So tell us a little bit. Are you enjoying the conference? What's a major trend that you've heard about here that you're going to take away, or that is just something interesting you've heard about?
This is the first day, lunch of the first day, and it's been good. One of the things they've talked, there's been, of course, a lot of talk of sustainability since this is the ESG conference.
Of course.
And sustainability is lots and lots of different aspects. And I think one aspect that we will be looking into more, and which has been discussed today, is flexibility in the grid and how we can use data or AI to increase utilization of the grid, but that we can also use data centers that can go maybe on and off grid or help with grid regulation, data centers as a part of a larger energy ecosystem. And I think that's very important for Norway and for other countries. When we see data centers becoming larger and larger, 50, 100, 200 megawatts, they can play a very important role in the energy system. And I think we'll have increased focus on that. And there's a lot of talk of that today. And I think it's very important for us in Norway.
Absolutely. Well, great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And thank you
We appreciate
again for having me.
Absolutely. And to all of our viewers at home, thanks for joining us and happy networking. Welcome to JSA TV and JSA Podcast, where we're covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations with leaders in global connectivity, real estate, and the networks within. My name is Emily Scherer for JSA, and I am joined today by Kim Gunelius from Vern Global Finland. They are an industry leader reimagining the future of environmentally responsible data center operations. Kim, it's great to see you again on JSA TV.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, as the first hyperscale level co-location company in the Nordics with a third-party climate neutral certification, this conference is a great fit for you, obviously, all about sustainability and ESG goals. For those that might not be familiar with Vern Global Finland, can you share a little bit more about the company, your mission, and where you're located?
Sure, absolutely. Finland was started in 2011 as Ficolo. We always focused on environmental operations, going all in on acquiring green energy. And our first data center was an underground data center where it was naturally cool. So it's in the granite, built by the defense forces. So a good location, we thought, where you don't need to use so much energy for cooling. We've also implemented a solar power plant on top for those few warm days that we have in Finland. And ever since then, we have focused on sustainability in our operations. For instance, the network of tunnels was there already, and in Helsinki, we actually built our data center into an existing building, so it was a brownfield. So this way, we save quite a lot of CO2 footprint by not having to construct ourselves. So along with that, we did our climate neutral certification in 2011 just to get a sort of third-party stamp of approval to show the world that we are serious about this. And we've also done a green bond, which we got the best rating in 2019. We did that. And last year, the company Ficolo, as it was called then, was acquired by Vern Global. We've got data centers in Iceland and London. And Iceland is also a perfect place for very green operations, with their grid being fed by thermal and hydro. So it's great to be part of such a family with the same kind of focus. And our owners are very much focused on this. So it was super important for us also from a capital perspective and from an ownership perspective. And we are all very much focused on taking this to the next level with regard to all the sustainability initiatives that we can.
Absolutely. So, yeah, perfect conference for that message, for everything that you all are working on. That's fantastic. And now, tomorrow, you're going to be on the keynote panel, and it is about how to avoid greenwashing and exceed customer expectations. This is such an important topic that people are talking about, not just saying you're doing something, but actually, walking the walk, talking the talk. So, what's something on that panel that you're hoping people are going to take away from what you're going to share tomorrow?
Sure. So greenwashing is very interesting in that, shall we say, the requirements seem to be changing. It seems that everybody is looking. They're kind of taking a looking glass and looking at what you are reporting and challenging you, which I think is really good. And also, the one thing that is happening is that regulation is really, shall we say, more serious in this area. So for instance, labeling products as green or whatever, there's a ton of different labels, and now there's new regulation coming out. So this means that the environment is really complex, and the greenwashing in itself is something that it's a difficult topic, and I think it varies on your location what can be considered green and so on. So you really have to look at it from many different angles. So the panel tomorrow will be gathering many different experts with many different ways of looking at it. So I'm going to be, of course, thinking about it from a Nordic perspective, but there's also more global perspectives there. So I really look forward to the discussion, and I hope it will be also, more of a discussion than just people commenting,
Right.
if you will.
Absolutely. Great. Well, I hope everyone can come and check that out. As a reminder, it is tomorrow, and that is the panel about greenwashing. And then also, you are a thought leader to another initiative, Greener Data. This is actually something that our agency started as a book. It is actionable insights from industry leaders. And you're going to have a chapter in the next version of this. It's coming out Earth Day 2024. Can you share a little bit with us what that chapter is going to be about and what you're going to be talking about?
Sure. Well, firstly, I would like to comment that the first initiative of the Greener Data book, that was a really great initiative. I've heard so much positive feedback from people, not just about what I wrote, but the way of bringing the industry together to think about these challenges from different perspectives and, sharing insights. So the chapter in the next book will be focusing on AI and the requirements for liquid cooling and what that means, because AI is coming in such a big way. It's going to change a lot of the things that the way we are working, and the cooling solutions. You can't just go with normal sort of air cooled. You will have to evolve. So I'm going to be talking about that and what it means for sustainability, and also in a slightly more broad perspective, looking, for instance, at heat reuse, which is enabled by intelligent use of liquid cooling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everyone's kind of coming around to that, right? Air cooled is out. You've got to have the liquid cooling to support the AI. So very interesting chapter. We're really looking forward to reading it. And everybody, you can read that when Greener Data Volume 2 comes out on Earth Day in 2024. Kim, it's been great to have you here. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks. My pleasure.
Absolutely. And to all of our viewers, thanks for joining us. We are signing out here from Datacloud ESG, and we will see you soon. Hey, everybody. So that wraps up our live coverage from day one of the inaugural Datacloud ESG Summit. We've had so much fun here. It has been crazy. It's finally quieted down. We're in the main event space here. So it's just been lunch all day, a lot of buzzing, a lot of people coming by, excited to be interviewed. We had so many great people today just talking about trends and everything going on.
Yeah.
So many clients, right?
So many folks today. Hopefully you caught our coverage. If you're not sick of us by now, you will be by the end of tomorrow. We've got a lot more coming at you tomorrow. So we had lots of great conversations. And there's great conversations happening in the other room just across from us as well, with the panels and the breakout case study sessions. So I'm actually moderating a panel on building green data centers in North America at 3:40 this afternoon. So if you are watching this live and you're here on site, please do come out and check that out. Some really, really great panelists who thankfully will be doing most of the talking and have all of the expertise for that panel. And then there's one on delivering climate positive results with AI for communities, environment, and profit at 4:50 this afternoon. So we're hoping to catch that one ourselves because that's right up our alley with JSA's Greener Data Initiative. Suffice to say, lots of great conversations happening here this week.
There was so much about AI today. I feel like we really heard that was an emerging trend. So we're probably going to hear a lot more about that tomorrow. And yeah, looking forward to catching that panel this afternoon as well. And yeah, so much going on tomorrow. A great lineup of clients and non-clients too, just people attending the conference we're looking forward to speaking with. So
Right. So if you didn't catch all of our interviews live, please do go back and watch them. We had Borealis Data Center, 3TAG, at North, Cyrus One, EchoSense, Equinix, Vern Global, Invest in Norway, Green Mountain, and the list goes on. So a very stacked list of impressive leaders in our industry who are joining us on JSA TV here at Datacloud ESG Summit.
Absolutely. And if you are on site, we're going to be at the TampNet networking event later on. So we hope to see you there. If not, we're going to be here tomorrow. We hope you can stop by our booth and see us at JSA TV. And that'll do it for us today at Datacloud ESG. So happy networking and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.